Hi, Mom. What are you doing today?
Providence Place, owned by the Sisters of Providence, an ideal rental setting for retirees to continue their active, independent lifestyles. We have bright 1 and 2 bedroom apartments, a magnificent chapel with daily mass, restaurant-style dining, and wellness and entertainment programs. Call for a tour, 413-534-9700.
Mom, call me when you're not so busy.
Coming up on this edition of Reel to Reel.
The Steubenville East Catholic Youth Conference is coming to the Mass Mutual Center in Springfield this summer. I'm Carolee McGrath. I'll have the story coming up.
The St. Mary's Westfield girls basketball team is in the midst of a stellar season so far. Steve Kiltonic reports on that. And as America prepares for the big game, a Super Bowl effort by young adults helping the less fortunate. These stories are coming your way next on Reel to Reel. Hello and welcome to Reel to Reel. We have big news to start with this week. A nationally recognized Catholic Youth Conference has selected Springfield as the site of their Summer 2022 gathering. The Steubenville East Catholic Youth Conference, presented by Life Teen and the Franciscan University of Steubenville, Ohio, has announced the conference will be held at the Mass Mutual Center in Springfield this July. Steubenville East has been canceled for the last 2 years due to the pandemic, but prior to that, it would draw some 2,500 to 3,000 teens and their chaperones. Carolee McGrath reports.
It sure looks and sounds like a rock concert, and it's coming soon to the Mass Mutual Center in Springfield. Steubenville East, sidelined for 2 years due to the pandemic, is back.
It's very exciting news that Steubenville East, one of the premier conferences for young people put on by Life Teen, is coming to Springfield. We're going to welcome them on the weekend of July 29th through the 31st. It's going to be magnificent.
Representatives from Life Teen were in town this past week touring the Mass Mutual Center. Life Teen partners with Franciscan University of Steubenville, Ohio, to put on Catholic youth conferences all over the United States. This year, Steubenville East and Steubenville, New York will merge and be held at the Springfield location. Sarah Hood, the director of events for Life Teen, is originally from Maine. She attended the Catholic Youth Conference as a teen.
I obviously encountered Jesus through this conference, and so now being able to be a part of bringing it back to New England is just a very meaningful and impactful thing to be able to do. We didn't have the conference for the past 2 years. We were able to have some conferences in other locations in the country this past summer, but it was really very much on my heart to bring it back to New England.
Life Teen has blocked rooms at several local hotels in Springfield and the surrounding area. Local groups have the option of commuting. Life Teen also met with city leaders, including Springfield Mayor Dominic Sarno and Police Commissioner Cheryl Claproot, to plan the weekend. Typically, thousands of teenagers attend for the retreat, which includes inspirational talks, Eucharistic adoration, Mass, confession, and praise and worship music.
So I have been up for a long time this morning praying, because that's what nuns do, okay? And I was just praying for each one of you.
The lineup includes Sister Miriam James of the Society of Our Lady of the Most Holy Trinity as the MC for the weekend. Other speakers include renowned Catholic author and speaker Mark Hart, Catholic author and evangelist Chika Anyanwu, Catholic speaker and podcast host Nick Frank, and Franciscan friar of the Renewal Father Agustino Torres, who also hosts shows on EWTN. Praise and worship music will be led by Andrew Laubacher. Jill Patton is the Steubenville East site coordinator. Her 3 adult daughters went to Steubenville East as teenagers.
It's transformative. It allows them to recognize that they're not alone, that God is always walking with them, and it gives them just a weekend away from the bustle of life and everything that draws a teen away from focusing on God. So my daughters not only went through the experience of Steubenville conferences, but they're all part of my leadership team and my workforce as volunteers now.
The theme of the conference this year is fearless, which is certainly fitting considering what these kids have lived through in the last 2 years with a pandemic and isolation. It's also a great theme for parents because when things go sideways in the world, we have to remember what Jesus said in John 16:33. He said, "Take courage, for I have overcome the world."
I know that right now, just with the state of the world being what it is, fearless is a theme that I think not just teenagers, but all of us are in need of. Just really kind of putting our trust in the Lord, receiving the peace that He has to offer, the courage to step out beyond our fear. We believe that when a teen encounters Christ, it changes everything, not only themselves and the trajectory of the rest of their life, but also their families, their communities, their parishes. We've literally seen entire parish communities revived through teenagers encountering Jesus.
And all involved in the planning of this conference are praying for those teenagers who will arrive in Springfield this summer. Reporting for Reel to Reel, I'm Carolee McGrath.
Registration opens February 15th. For more information, we have a link at iobserve.org. And we'll also have full coverage of this gathering. And Steubenville East is just one of the many events that young adults can take part in here in Western Massachusetts. Another global event coming up next year is World Youth Day, set to take place in Lisbon, Portugal. Like many large-scale happenings, World Youth Day was originally supposed to happen this year, but was delayed by the COVID virus. Joining me now to talk more about it is Joe Austin, Director of Youth and Young Adult Ministry here in the Diocese of Springfield. Welcome, Joe.
Thank you so much for having me.
I know people might think World Youth Day is more than a year away, but it's a big event and takes a lot of advanced planning. For those who are interested, what can they look forward to and how can they sign up?
Absolutely. So when youth attend World Youth Day, they get to experience this ocean of the church. They get to meet and encounter other youth and young adults from around the world, all different backgrounds, all different walks of life. And so we'll be in Lisbon, Portugal, July 28th through August 8th, 2023. We'll get to spend a couple days at Fatima with the travel agency that we're working with that are hopefully going to be able to have just Fatima to ourselves with a couple other groups from around the area, Massachusetts. And then after that, we'll spend some time driving through kind of some local sites. We've been working with the Portuguese community to set up the best places to go in that area. And then we'll eventually land in Lisbon, where they'll have a couple days with Pope Francis and many other youth to experience the fullness of World Youth Day. And then after that, we'll also be offering an option for those who want to continue the pilgrimage with the Camino de Santiago in Spain, and more information on that forthcoming. But World Youth Day is a life-changing experience. Many youth and young adults experience their and find their vocation at World Youth Day. And we hope you can join us, and we'll be absolutely thrilled to send as many youth and young adults as we can to World Youth Day.
And now, as we saw in Carolee's piece, a lot's going to be happening for youth and young adults here in Western Massachusetts. And I know you've got so many projects in the works. What's the latest?
Sure, thank you. So there's a lot of projects in the works, as you said, many different opportunities coming up. This spring alone, we're hosting 3 large youth days. There will be the Net Youth Day on March 20th. That will be a virtual confirmation retreat just for our confirmation students. We'll also have a God's Plan Youth Day. That's March 26th in Ludlow. That's open to any youth. Then we'll have another youth day, also open to any youth. In fact, we encourage youth to attend both or one or both of the youth days. That will be a Lenten Youth Day, April 9th in Westfield. But then coming up next summer with the Steubenville Conference, July 29th to 31st in 2022, that will be at Mass Mutual Center with Life Teen in Steubenville. So we really are hoping that all of the youth will be able to join, and definitely reach out if you're interested in sending a group. I'd love to work with you to help us send as many youth as possible to Steubenville.
All right, Joe Austin, Director of Youth and Young Adult Ministry, thank you so much. And if people would like more information on any of these youth events, we have a link at iobserve.org. And still to come on Reel to Reel, Steve Kiltonic with the story of St. Mary's girls basketball team, which is having a great season. And Dan Dumas will have the latest news from the Diocese of Springfield. All this and more still ahead on this edition of Reel to Reel.
Like Catholic TV on Facebook. Once you're there, you can join in on discussions, make friends with other Catholic TV fans, watch behind-the-scenes videos from the studio,
just finished this
and stay up to date with the Catholic world. All this at facebook.com/CatholicTV.
All our lives, we've been told.
Work hard.
Achieve.
Get to the next level.
But sometimes, our best efforts fall short. We start to think maybe we don't have what it takes.
Or maybe we do.
Jesus took on the sins of the whole world. He conquered even death itself.
He invites us to follow him. He wants us to trust him.
And through him, through his body and blood, we are united in Jesus. And to each other.
Everything we're searching for.
Hail Mary, full of grace.
Our hopes and our dreams.
Points to a Father.
Who loves us unconditionally.
Who called us by name.
If you knew that receiving the Eucharist would change your life and change the world,
what will you do?
What would you do?
What would you do? Join us for the Year of the Eucharist.
I'm Dan Dumas with your Reel to Reel news briefs. Tomorrow is a super weekend, not just because of the big game, but also because it includes one of the biggest local fundraising efforts of this year, happening at a church near you. Nick Morganelli explains.
We're all familiar with the Super Bowl, but do you know about the Super Bowl of caring? In Holyoke, before the big game, you'll find volunteers at St. Jerome's collecting funds in soup pots. It started because of a Presbyterian pastor's prayer for the hungry in South Carolina 32 years ago. The ministry's purpose is to tackle hunger in our communities. Jenny McGivern, Director of Faith Formation and RCIA at St. Jerome's, uses this volunteer experience to educate her students.
This is all part of their ministry and community service and teaching them about giving, and it all goes along with what they're learning about the Beatitudes and the fruits of the Spirit and the gifts of the Spirit, and just being a Catholic and giving as much as they can.
Angel Melendez, a Holyoke native, is in the RCIA program.
It's exciting, different things that you're learning, that I never knew. So, and I'm starting to come to church now.
He's always a willing participant.
I just go when she calls me, I'll do the volunteers like that. So, and I go to classes too on Sundays. So, it's fun.
Siblings Brianna and Angel were sporting their official attire. The opportunity helps them acquire confirmation service hours.
Yeah, I'm helping out, but I have taken classes before, and next year I will take my confirmation.
They helped collect over $500 at last Saturday's Mass, and more funds are collected this weekend that benefit two nonprofit charities chosen by St. Jerome's.
Providence Ministries we've been doing every year. This we know the need. We know how much they do help out and with the families and with the homeless and those who are in need of food. So we had decided to give to them. This year I became familiar with the For the Love of Good Foundation, which is also part of Holyoke also, and they give to the poor food, clothing, the homeless, so they're helping out in many ways there. So we wanted just to give them a donation also to help them with the food or anything else they needed.
Pastor Father Francis Riley knows how important this program is.
It stays locally, and we do have a local need, especially because of the situation in Holyoke where there's homelessness and there's drug problems and alcohol, and they need rehab. But our faith makes a difference right here at home.
Witnessing faith in action in Holyoke, I'm Nick Morganelli.
We'll be sure to look for those soup pots after Masses tomorrow. This past weekend, St. Mary's Parish in Hamden held 40 hours of devotion, which is Eucharistic adoration. Celebrations are being held once a month throughout the diocese during this year of the Eucharist. Carolee McGrath has more.
Bishop William Byrne celebrated the 11 a.m. Mass at St. Mary's in Hamden. Before Mass, he joined others in prayer during Eucharistic adoration. St. Mary's held 40 hours of devotion for the year of the Eucharist. Each month, a church in the diocese has been chosen to host the 40 hours, which is adoration of the Blessed Sacrament. The first two 40-hour devotions were held at St. Jerome Parish in Holyoke and Our Lady of the Blessed Sacrament Parish in Westfield.
And what it does is it places Jesus in the very center of the parish's life. Whenever we worship Jesus, amazing things happen whenever we place him center in our lives. And that's the power of the year of the Eucharist, is to place Jesus in the very middle, to recognize that he is truly present, body, blood, soul, and divinity. And as we worship him, as we adore him, so that grace is spread into us and through us out into our parish and into the world.
The Year of the Eucharist, which began in November, will aim to refocus the faithful on the central teaching that the Eucharist is truly Christ's body and blood. Christ instituted the Eucharist on the night of the Last Supper when he said, "Take and eat, this is my body." A Pew Research Center survey conducted in 2019 found that 69% of Catholics don't believe in the true presence of Christ in the Eucharist. Rather, they believe the bread and wine are symbols. Father Mark Stelzer is the pastor of St. Mary's.
We had wonderful response. Each of the Masses in particular brought people not only from Hamden, but people from a lot of the neighboring parishes, people from Springfield, many people from Connecticut were here. The phone was ringing throughout the 40 hours. In the rectory, people inquiring when the 40 hours would be and the times of the services.
Father Mark says St. Mary's offered prayers for the canonization of the Venerable Matt Talbot, considered the patron of those struggling with addiction.
And unique to the devotion here is that we included prayers for the canonization of Matt Talbot, who is the patron of people living with addictions. Many people come to our shrine outside the church, Our Lady of Fatima shrine, week after week, day after day, morning, noon, and night, and many of them are people in recovery. And often we find the chips that they get for months or years of sobriety left in the shrine behind in gratitude for that sobriety. So we were able to attract many people from 12-step movements to that particular devotion.
The next 40 hours of devotion is scheduled at St. Joseph Parish in Shelburne Falls on March 3rd. To learn more about the Year of the Eucharist, go to yearoftheeucharist.net. In Hamden, I'm Carolee McGrath.
Remember, you can always stay informed on all the latest news in the Catholic Church locally and beyond by logging on to iobserve.org. There you can read articles from our Catholic communication staff, as well as view on-demand episodes of Real to Real. That's iobserve.org. I'm Dan Dumas, and those were your Real to Real news briefs.
As you've been seeing, the Catholic Church and the diocese is in the midst of two significant events. Of course, as we just saw in Carolee's piece, the Year of the Eucharist, and also locally preparing for the worldwide synod called for by Pope Francis. Joining me now to talk more about these two topics is Springfield Bishop William Byrne. Always nice to see you, Bishop Byrne.
Great to be with you, Sharon. Thank you.
So, as Carolee McGrath just reported, many parishes are holding or planning to hold adoration and benedictions as part of our diocesan Year of the Eucharist celebration. And I understand you have some exciting news to share about this diocesan-wide event.
Yes, there has been great response to the Year of the Eucharist. People praying the prayer in parishes across the diocese, but then doing 40 hours having Eucharistic adoration processions. It seemed to me that there is so much energy and there is so much going on that I've decided to extend the Year of the Eucharist. It's going to be a Years of the Eucharist. We're going to move the Eucharistic Congress to 2023, so stay tuned for those details, because we are really having a great celebration of the Year of the Eucharist.
And then we have a huge task being undertaken locally, which will lead to the 2023 Worldwide Synod. Currently, folks are being asked to discern God's mission for the church with planning and recruiting volunteers to help run consultations in March and April. And I think for some people, it might sound like an overwhelming assignment. What's your hope for this local synod phase?
Well, it might seem overwhelming, but if God's asking us to do it, I really believe, and that's through the voice of the Holy Father and the Church, that we can get it done. Really, it's less complicated than it seems. The Pope is asking us to be a listening church, to walk with people and to meet them along the way. So we simply want to gather people in whatever context we possibly can and begin to hear how the Holy Spirit is working in their lives. I'm a firm believer that the Holy Spirit doesn't just talk to me, but to every single heart in the church. So the more we can begin to be a listening church, to meet people where they are, to accompany them along the way, not dragging them from in front or pushing them from behind, but walking with them, we can begin to hear exactly what God is asking of us as a church, to bring people closer to Jesus Christ.
All right, Bishop William Byrne, thank you so much for all you're doing here in the diocese. And before we go, we should mention you also found time to be a guest on a podcast produced by a few Dominican friars talking about investing in your parish and finding community.
I had a great time. I was on Godsplaining, which is a podcast from the province of St. Joseph, of the Dominicans, of the Orders of Preacher. And having worked with them as a pastor very closely, I knew a lot of these young guys, so it was great fun. So if you have a chance to find it on your podcast, it's called Godsplaining, and I think you'll enjoy it.
Well, we look forward to listening to that for sure, and we have a link for it on iobserve.org. And finally, the St. Mary's Westfield girls basketball team is in the midst of a very promising season. The Saints have steamrolled through their league opponents this season, and with only a handful of games left, Steve Kiltonic spoke with the Saints coach and several star players to find the reasons behind their success.
Saints on three! 1, 2, 3, Saints!
One word describes the St. Mary's girls basketball team this season: dominance. The Saints have trounced each of their opponents in the Tri-County North League by double digits in each of their 9 games played. The closest anyone got so far was 12 points. Most have been by 25 or more. On this night, St. Mary's looks to run their winning streak to 10 against Pathfinder Regional. Rod Rodriguez has been St. Mary's head coach the past 9 seasons. Before that, he was an assistant for 6 more. He considers himself blessed to be coaching the Saints.
I just enjoyed the family atmosphere of everything. You know, it's been a challenge for sure. St. Mary's, it's a small school, so we get what we get, and I kind of enjoy that challenge.
Over 15 years, Rodriguez has built a winning program at the school, taking the girls to the Western Mass playoffs 3 consecutive years. His coaching philosophy is simple.
I think the biggest thing I like to do is have them work hard and understand the game that I love.
Rodriguez described his coaching style.
I'm very loud. I'm always loud. This is probably the quietest that you probably hear at the gym. I'm very vocal as well.
These 2022 Saints are experienced, with a balance of old and young, having played together a number of years under Rodriguez already.
This group right here is very in sync and young, and have very good skills from playing from when they were younger, developing up. So I think them coming with their natural abilities and just being cohesively in sync, loud and working hard, and I think they kind of feed off each other and feed to my energy as well.
The starting 5 includes senior point guard Allie Goudreau, who is co-captain with junior Amelia Willenborg. Allie was also captain on the soccer team last fall.
Definitely a leader on the court, someone that we could depend the ball on to, last second, end of the game. She can go to the basket just as quick as she's willing to pass it off. Just being very unselfish from her. I think that's her thing, being a true point guard leader.
Amelia brings her skills as a goalie from the soccer field to the hardwood.
She's our defensive leader for sure. She's willing to lay herself on the floor, dive for a ball, to take charges. She's a goalie in soccer. She's used to stopping things. She's an all-out workhorse, and she's one of our good shooters.
The center and power forward is sophomore Paige Heptoski, one of the leading scorers. She's a pitcher on the softball team as well.
Paige, she's a smart player. She knows when to back up to people and just use her height, as well as just go at some people. I think we're definitely working at going in stronger. She can shoot inside and outside.
Allie's sister, sophomore Emma, also a soccer standout, is a guard forward.
Oh, she's powerful. She's powerful. 7th grade, 8th grade year, you know, sometimes you might have thought it was more like power with a little recklessness, but she knows what she's doing. She's very unselfish as well.
Junior Katie Seklecki, daughter of assistant coach Matt Seklecki, and sophomore Macy Woodger alternate the 5th starting spot.
I wouldn't say it's really like a shock that we're 9-0. I wouldn't say it's also kind of just like, oh, I expected it. I'd say kind of in between because we've definitely been working really hard.
Our team's like always been good. We just have, it's such a small school, so it's not like there's a bunch of different girls that are coming to the team. So we've all played with each other forever.
Defense and speed are two of the team's physical strengths. The intangible is team camaraderie.
We're all really close, so that really helps. But we all played soccer together. We've all played other sports together, so kind of having that team chemistry that carried over.
We all have like the same type of energy, and the way that we like work together, we cooperate really well, and we just like know our weaknesses and strengths.
Coach Rodriguez has had a big impact on the team.
He's very loud, but that's good because he's passionate about the sport. And he works on both our mental and physical aspects of the game, so he helps us in both those ways. And he's a very good coach. He knows what he's talking about.
I kind of look at him as he's like a college coach coming in. He expects the best out of us. He's very hardworking on us. He pushes us to be the best.
The Pathfinder game was also senior night, and the team honored Allie, its lone soon-to-be graduate. Principal Matt Collins and Coach Rodriguez thanked Allie for her dedication and hard work, both as an athlete and student. Pathfinder kept the game close for a quarter, but a flurry of points just before the half extended the Saints' lead. In the second half, a stifling defense shut down the Pioneer offense, and the Saints cruised to an easy 48-18 win. Top scorers were Willenberg with 12, Seklecki with 11, and Heptoski with 10. The Saints have made the postseason each of the past 3 seasons, only to lose in the first round. Coach Rodriguez hopes to keep the team motivated to make a deeper run in the playoffs, which loom just a couple of weeks away.
So I think we're still climbing for our best game, best potential game. Like I said, we're just going to play one game at a time, and throughout the season, you know, undefeated or not, like we're just here to play hard.
The goals are lofty. A Western Master state title would be first for the school. Given the Saints' determination, hard work ethic, unselfish attitude, a why not us mindset, combined with a little luck, nothing seems impossible for this team. For Real to Real, I'm Steve Kiltonic.
As we go to air, St. Mary's will have just one more game left in the regular season, and we will keep you posted on how the Saints fare in the upcoming tournaments, and crossing our fingers that they continue their success into the postseason. An important programming note for viewers of the Chalice of Salvation Weekly Mass: tomorrow, February 13th, Chalice will air at the special time of 6 a.m. due to NBC coverage of the Winter Olympics. Again, that's tomorrow at 6 a.m. for the Chalice of Salvation. And for this week, that's Real to Real. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to follow the latest news we have for you on the Catholic Church in Western Massachusetts and around the world. We have it all for you at iobserve.org. And you can follow us on Facebook at Catholic Communications. I will see you right back here next week at this same time for Real to Real, your window on the world around you. See you then.
Real to Real is a production of the Catholic Communications Corporation, funded in part by the annual Catholic Appeal, and the support of you, our faithful viewers.